right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ken Kober, the president of the Fraternal Order of Police, Queen City Lodge 69. Captain Danita Pettis is one of my members. Captain Pettis began her career as a police officer at the city of Cincinnati in 1999. In 2004, she was promoted to the rank of sergeant. As a sergeant, she supervised District 2 Violent Crime Squad, Vortex Unit, Planning Unit, and was a public information officer. In 2015, she was promoted to lieutenant. As a lieutenant, she served as a relief commander for the Central Business Section, District 1, District 4, and District 3. In March of 2019, she was promoted to captain. As a captain, she served as the Record Section Commander, Special Services Section Commander, Gun Crimes Task Force Commander, Planning Section Commander, Civil Disturbance Response Team Commander, and was also a subject matter expert for promotional exams. In 2024, this experienced leader, the District 2 captain, was targeted with a baseless accusations that resulted in her egregious termination in December of 2024. More than a year later, this clear decision by a three-person arbitration panel determined that she was not guilty of any of these charges, and they were to restore her rank back to captain with full back pay and benefits. I want to thank the FOP attorney, Kim Ratowski, who's a partner with Lazarus Law, who spent hundreds of hours preparing for this, the briefs that she did, the arbitration, to make sure that Captain Pettis was vindicated for many of these charges. Next, we'll have Captain Danita Pettis.
So I would like to first and foremost thank everyone who came out to support me today. A few of the faces that I see that I want to give a special shout out to. First and foremost, my pastor, pastor of Lincoln Heights Missionary Baptist Church, Dr. Julian Armand Cook, who spent countless hours praying for me, giving me positive words of encouragement, and just uplifting me in my spiritual journey. So thank you, Pastor Cook, for being here today. I want to thank also my good friend, former Cincinnati Fire Chief Michael Washington, who also spent countless hours on the phone with me, just encouraging me, helping me get through it, telling me that this ultimately is going to be okay. And obviously, as we see the findings of what happened today, he was correct. So thank you, former Chief Washington, for your support. I also want to thank the NAACP president, Mr. David Whitehead, who I met with him as soon as this first happened. He gave me his full support and also spent time just checking in on me and basically making sure that I was okay. So I would also like to thank my good friend, Lieutenant Shantia Miller, who's always been like a little sister to me, who has supported me as well. Thank my attorney, Kim Ratowski, who none of this would be possible. I wouldn't even be here today if she hadn't spent all the time that she did working on my case and putting together just a fantastic defense for me. My personal attorney, Mr. Jason Matthews, who's also worked tirelessly on my behalf. And last but certainly not least, a person that's very special, near and dear to my heart, Mr. Jerome Waller, who has not only held me down, but lifted me up. So I thank you for all of your love and support. And I guess in terms of how I'm feeling, I'm sure everybody wants to know, well, how are you feeling right now? What are your thoughts? What are your sentiments? Right now, I'm feeling very happy, extremely elated to finally be vindicated of all of these charges after 13 months. I'm very excited to be getting back to working for the city of Cincinnati, doing the job that I've always loved doing for 27 years. So my sentiment is definitely one of elation, one of blessing, one of thanks and gratitude for all the people in this room who have supported me over the course of the past 13 months. I see also a good friend of mine, he's hiding back there, a former City of Cincinnati council person, Sam Malone. Thank you for also being here. And my sister, she's also here. So thank you, sis, for your support as well. And so with all of that having been said, I'm going to turn it over to my personal attorney, Mr. Jason Matthews, to give a few statements as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Matthews. I'm an attorney in Dayton, and I've had the privilege to represent Captain Pettis since May of 2024. First of all, I'd like to thank Ken Kober and the FOP for its unwavering support of Captain Pettis through the investigations, the disciplinary process, and also the grievance process. I would also like to commend the work of the FOP's legal counsel, Kim Rotowski, and the Lazarus firm for all of the work and the excellent job they did at arbitration in this case. While we were certainly pleased with the outcome of the arbitration decision and believe that the decision and the remedy vindicates Captain Pettis in certain respects as far as returning her to her position and her love of service to the city of Cincinnati, and also restoration of her back pay during that period of time. My involvement in this matter isn't over. We believe that the city needs to take accountability for the unwarranted investigations which were conducted, the unwarranted disciplinary actions which were taken against Captain Pettis, and the harm that these events have caused to Captain Pettis's well-being and her professional reputation. So we hope to be able to work with the city in the coming weeks to come to an acceptable resolution of those matters. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Kim Rotowski. I'm the union attorney that handled the case. In our firm, Lazarus Law, as it's now called, we've represented the Queen City Lodge 69 for over 50 years. And I will tell you that this is one of the most egregious termination cases that I have seen in the more than 20 years that I've been doing this. So we are very satisfied with the decision in this case, and we are pleased that the arbitrators recognized the baseless, fabricated charges that were brought against Captain Pettis. I would also like to thank Ken Kober and the FOP. Ken is a very passionate advocate for the men and women of the Cincinnati Police Department. Along with Ken and the leadership of the FOP, our firm will continue to vigorously represent the Cincinnati police officers. Thank you. At this point, we will open it up to any questions.
What are the next steps now?
Well, the next steps for reinstatement will be dealing with the city solicitor and just organizing how she's going to get back to work. So putting her back in, she's been reinstated with full back pay, full benefits, full seniority, so it's getting her back and back to work as a captain for the Cincinnati Police Department.
Captain, can I ask you a few questions just about everything you've been through over the last 13 months?
One thing, before you ask your questions, one thing that I do need to go back and correct. I did neglect, just because of all the lights and cameras, neglect to pay a special recognition to somebody that has also been an extremely good friend. Officer Andre Ewing, him and his wife were like, you know, my rocks through this whole process. So I forgot to mention him, but I had to do that and clean that up because he definitely deserves that recognition. And I'll try to answer whatever, but I don't know how much detail I'm going to be able to get into stuff, obviously from the advice of my counsel, but if it's just in terms of how I'm feeling, what was your question?
Yeah, just, I guess, given everything that has happened over the last year, in your heart, you want to go back?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I never wanted to leave, so yes, I definitely want to go back.
We did just get a response from the city manager's office, basically pointing fingers that she basically relied on Chief Fiji's decision. Who do you put the blame on for this?
I don't think that, you know, I'm not going to get into whose fault it is, who the blame on who, whatever. I think that the arbitrator's decision is crystal clear. The document speaks for itself. I don't need to do kind of like a further drill down or analysis on it, but I think it's clear who shot John, for lack of a better term.
It was mentioned that further accountability is needed. You mentioned that, as she referenced, the city's put out a statement about 30 minutes ago, essentially putting the blame on Chief Fiji and saying they will adhere to they will align with the arbitrator's decision. What further accountability, in your estimation, is needed at this point?
Yes. We do have some legal options based on some prior administrative complaints which were filed, but I'd prefer not to discuss those at this time, and I would like to give the city the opportunity to come to the table and try to work out a reasonable resolution to those, rather than putting any of that information out right now.
But you're not ruling out a civil suit?
I'm sorry?
You're not ruling out a civil suit?
We are not ruling out a civil suit if that becomes necessary.
Question for Mr. Kober, if you don't mind. So there's been a lot of talk, obviously, and you've criticized the investigation against Police Chief Fiji. But in this case, it seems like then, you're also criticizing Fiji's decision to terminate Captain Pettis. So I guess, where is the concern for you? Because if Chief Fiji seemed to be the problem in this case, why then do you stand by Fiji in the investigation into her leadership? I guess, is there a disconnect there?
Well, I mean, I think it's been clear between Fire Chief Washington, between Captain Pettis. They've just fired an assistant chief from the fire department, and now this with Chief Fiji is that there's clearly some issues when you're talking about investigating top leaders, and that's ultimately what needs to be addressed.
So I guess where specifically do you see that problem? Like, is there a specific person or position that you think is the source of the problem?
I don't know, maybe that's something the city should investigate themselves. I don't have an answer for that.
Why do you believe Police Chief Fiji sent that letter asking for the firing?
That would be a question for her. I don't know. I mean, like I said, when I looked at the hearing book, sat through the arbitration, it was very clear that all of this was baseless, and clearly the arbitrators saw the same thing.
Despite that, you have clear here that you support the chief, you trust your leadership.
Yeah, I don't think both of these incidents are necessarily connected. But it's clear, obviously, that Captain Pettis was treated unfairly, and I think at the same time, I think it's fair to say that Chief Fiji has been treated unfairly as well.
As a union leader, obviously, several of the investigators throughout the process were other CPD members. Are you looking into these officers? Are you upset with the way they conducted themselves?
It's not my job to look into any of this. I mean, this is something that ultimately the city has to decide. And as you go higher in rank, there's different responsibilities. And as you're in lower rank, there's other responsibilities, and there's sometimes you're given marching orders that maybe you don't agree with, maybe you do, but if they're not illegal, immoral, or unethical, you have to follow them. So ultimately, what we look for is exactly why we have collective bargaining in Ohio, is when we believe one of our members have been treated unfairly or unjustly, we have a process to be able to resolve that, and that's exactly what happened.
I have one final question for Captain
Sure.
Pettis. Moving forward, obviously, wanting to get back to work, never wanting to leave, but having this tension linger, given that some lawsuit is not off the table. I actually speak to that, but speak to the morale there going back as you continue to lead in the department.
In terms of my morale, I mean, I'm nothing if not professional. So, the past is the past, but I gotta move on in order to do my job. I have to move on in terms of my mental, in terms of my physical, in order to be an effective leader. And that is what I intend to do. In order to serve the citizens of Cincinnati in the capacity that I've always served them, certainly there's prayer. My pastor is here. You just gotta let some stuff go. You gotta hand it to the Lord. So just in terms of my morale, I'm just excited to be getting back to work. And that's I'm elated. I'm just excited and happy to be going back to work.
Is there a timeline on when you might go back and
Kim, you want to address that?
Well, like I said earlier, we'll be discussing with the city solicitor specifically, as far as the details of getting her back to work, but I would anticipate that she'd be getting back fairly soon. Get her back and doing the job she loves to do.
For Captain Pettis, obviously a lot of this stems from this Phoenix Project Initiative paper. Can you just kind of walk us through, I mean, what was your objection with these pages? What did you find to be an issue?
Again, I kind of don't want to get into the nuts and bolts of the complaint itself because, as we've heard, the litigation may or may not be over. So I certainly don't want to get into the actual complaint itself for obvious reasons, if you can understand that.
All right. Thank you all for being here. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.